Oh boy, what do we have here? Oh guys, Jacob Smedley here with another Philadelphia sports. Oh man, the Phillies. Oh man, this is this is going to be rough, everyone. So bear with me. The Philadelphia Phillies. What is going on? I've been a fan of this team for how many years, and it's come to this. It's come to this. I mean, this is worse. This is worse than 2014 to 2018, because at least there was a direction. There was at least a direction in with those teams. There was a direction. Okay, so we have all of this young talent, or at least better young talent that we're giving experience. We're kind of we're not doing too well, but we've got this young talent that we're developing. We're getting experience in the big leagues so that we can win later. What is going on right now? I mean, honestly, I don't know. John Middleton, sell the team. Get Andy McPhail out. Get him out. Get him out. Get Ned Rice out. You got all these rumors. Cut payroll. Zach Wheeler being traded. Absolutely blasphemous. For a team that has been stuck in mediocrity. For the past 2 years. 2 years plus. I mean, you can look back to 2014, but 2014 they were just bad. They were atrocious, but there was at least a direction. You had John Mayberry in left field, Freddie Galvis at short. I mean, the team was not good. The past 2 years, they have had good players on the team and still finished with mediocre records. I mean, how does that happen? How does that happen? You have a non-existent farm system. Non-existent. I mean, when you... we thought bringing Clintack in at the beginning, okay, so we might get... It has been a perpetual... There is tumbleweeds. There is tumbleweeds rolling in Reading, in Lehigh Valley, in Williamsport, in New Jersey, down in Florida, where these minor league teams are. I mean, I hate to break it. I mean, I know a lot of people know this already, but the Phillies have no farm system right now. Boehm is a major leaguer, and Spencer Howard is one too. I mean, even though he didn't, perform at a very high level his rookie year, got hurt, but he's not in the minor leagues anymore. Who do you have? Stop. Mickey Moniak? Oh, don't even get me started, Mickey Moniak. Cornelius Randolph, whoever he is. Adonis Medina, who's been top 5 prospect in the organization for how many years now, and finally got in the big leagues this past season, but it almost seemed like they were throwing anyone in there. He had to start a game late in September, I think it was, August, at the end of the year there. Oh, man, that was brutal. And then you had Moniak get in. That was bad. I mean, he got a few hits, looked all right at the plate, but fielding was atrocious. That's a major problem. I mean, I don't know what's a bigger problem. There are millions of questions in the front office. I mean, you have Middleton, the owner, who's a fraud. $3.4 billion net worth, laying off 80 employees, and fires Clintack. Okay, but no, he's still in the organization. And then, okay, we're going to move Ned Rice to interim. So that fixes the problem, of course. And then McPhail, you have come out in a press conference and say that he really coming off with the vibe that he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be there. McPhail doesn't want to be there. I mean, honestly, it's in his name. I mean, am I right? McPhail? What has he done in Philadelphia? Fail? As an assistant to Clentak, who's failed. To Ned Rice, who's failed. Bring in Burns. Bring in Hill. I mean, I know they were big on Theo Epstein, but of course, his whole situation that happened, I guess now a month ago, they're kind of retiring, and we'll see where he's at, but bring these guys in. Because really, they're the only ones right now that I can see fixing this situation for the best possible way. And I just can't feel bad enough for Bryce Harper. I mean, this guy was promised to come to Philadelphia, took less money. He took less average annual value, which it's hovering around 25, 26, and you compare it to other contracts. I mean, it is reasonable. It is great for the organization. He signed that contract because he knew Middleton to spend money other places to bring in championship caliber, or no, okay, maybe not necessarily championship, but other players around him to at least make the playoffs, give him a chance. And what do? They didn't do that. They didn't do that. They promised him a lie. Middleton promised him a lie. Oh, here's $330 million. It's the 13 years. And what came afterwards, man? I mean, traded for Real Muto. Good move at the time. Now under criticism. Sixto Sanchez. Kid's unbelievable. High 90s fastball. Great breaking ball. And you have that whole situation you now have to deal with. I mean, looked good on paper, but going back to it, you look at Clentak's comments after he made the trade, or at least the thought process, this is what would put us over the edge. Let that sink in. That trade for one player, who, yeah, he was the best guy at his position, a weak position, a kind of top-heavy kind of position, where him, Yasmani Grandal, maybe a few others in that kind of top 3 range, and then everyone else. Okay, one player, bring in one player, and they thought they went from zero to hero. What? When has that ever been the case? You look at, the last how many winners of the World Series? The Astros, of course, with a cheating scandal, whatever. I mean, that doesn't really relevate to the point. Dodgers, even the Rays, who didn't even win it. Look at the teams that are making it to the World Series. Where has their talent been? It's been spread out around the entire team. What mindset, even before that trade was made, maybe not even recent guys, built, their team is deep. Their team is spread out. They've got talent all around the diamond, homegrown and free agent. And you're thinking this one guy who you're giving up prospects in an already depleted farm system for one guy. All right, fine. JT, great. Nola, good. Bullpen wasn't atrocious that year. But, I mean, Harper, Hoskins, their lineup has not been the problem. And then you look at, okay, so they have these big market players. You expect to win. No, it's 500 ball. It's 500 ball, 81 and 81. Atrocious. Absolutely atrocious with the talent that you had on your team, or at least the talent you thought you had. Vince Velasquez. What is that? That's a whole nother thing. Vince Velasquez, Nick Pivetta. You're saying, yeah, and I keep bringing us this quote. Well, I guess kind of, quote. that was 1P to put us over the edge. And yet you have Vince Velasquez and Nick Pivetta as your scheduled starters every 5th day. Or every 2 out of the 5 days. That's unacceptable. And even Jake Arrieta. I mean, he's not Noah Syndergaard. He's not Patrick Corbin and Steven Strasburg, who helped the Nationals win a World Series. And then you're looking at the bullpen. Wasn't bad 2 years ago. But they're making it out to be some kind of heroic achievement. No. Quite on the contrary. You've got games being lost. Neris giving up home runs to Soto in the 9th inning. Alright, this past offseason. Nothing to address it. You're going to sit there and tell me that bullpen from a year prior was so good that you're just going to ignore it in free agency because you don't have anyone in the farm. As I mentioned earlier, you don't have anyone in the farm where you can let some guy go or not sign anyone to be like, okay, so you got this kid who's throwing high 90s with good breaking stuff. I mean, Connor Brogdon did show us something thrown into the position. But that was after he was sent back down and came back up. Jojo Romero showed you something but got hit around later in the season. But you have no one else down there. I mean, they ended up being the best guys. Out of the other veterans that you had to press the emergency button halfway through the season and bring in. And of course, the whole idea, whenever someone puts on that red pinstripes, unless they're a star or a upper echelon, but really good player, that they're not going to perform. David Phelps, Brandon Workman, what is this? I mean, second worst bullpen ERA in the history of baseball, second only to the 1930 Phillies, which was even worse. So now, you guys, and that was the reason that they lost. I mean, of course, you can count everything in that final week where it fell apart. They couldn't win one more game. But, you look at all of those games that were blown because of the bullpen. At least four or five of them could have been won. Phillies are playing the Dodgers in the first round. Even more, even better. And it's just, and still the starting rotation wasn't up to par. They still would have probably gotten beat by either a lower seed, depending on if the bullpen was better. Nola and Wheeler, good. They were abysmal in September. Eflin, yeah, but are you gonna ride those guys? Are you gonna match those up against what the Braves had? You're gonna match that up against what the Reds had last year? Are you gonna match that up against what the Dodgers? You look at these other teams. They are deep. They have guys in the bullpen. They have a starting lineup that is a mix of stars like Mookie Betts, like Cody Bellinger, like Corey Seager, and young guys built through the farm system. Who do the Phillies have built through the farm system right now in the starting lineup? Hoskins, Boehm, and Hoskins wasn't even a top pick. He had a lot of homers in AAA and ended up and he's still not even an amazing guy that they produced. He hits a lot of homers, he has a good eye at the plate, and he's regressed a little bit. Boehm, great. 300 plus averages. His numbers with runners in scoring position were off of the charts. Kid's a stud. But who else? Real Muto, you had to trade 2 young players for. McCutchen, aging veteran, you had to sign. Hazley, center field, you did draft him first round, top pick, but he's not a Acuna. He's not a Soto. He's not a Conforto, another guy that they developed. And I mean, you have these other teams that have so many guys that they develop within and make an impact on the big league roster. And this team just so. I mean, you're hearing stuff about Harper. I mean, pick a direction. Like, you tell us one thing, but you seem to mean the other. I mean, you can't trust anything anymore. That's why I'm telling Middleton to sell the team. I mean, even more so when you add insult to injury, you got Steve Cohen there up the turnpike in New York. What is he doing? He is shaping the Mets to be my worst nightmare. My worst nightmare is up the road in New York. I mean, that's what it is. Because he is willing to spend money for the team to win. He's a lifelong fan, so why would he let him down? But Middleton over here, pinching pennies. I mean, yeah, 3.4 is not 14.2, but still. And we're talking billions of dollars. But if you want to win so badly, why are you taking the steps to make it happen? That's what it comes down to with Middleton. That's what it comes down to. If you want to win, why aren't you making the steps to make that happen? Because it's not. It's not. You would have hired someone already. You wouldn't have laid off those employees. You would have people in the front office to put this team in position to win. And they're just not. I mean, pick a direction. Pick a direction. I mean, people, I know people will be like, oh my gosh, why would you trade Wheeler? But you know what? Honestly, if you're asking me right now, love Wheeler. Guy's a stud. Underappreciated pitcher in this league. If you're asking me, pick a direction. If you want to sell, sell. If you want to win, win. But if you want to win, you need to show it. You need to show it. You need to do the actions to show that you want to win. You need to show that you want to win. You can't just say, oh, I desperately want to win. I really want to win. Then show it. Then do it. And that's kind of going into a whole nother conversation with the Sixers. I mean, like Joel Embiid, he talks about, oh, I want to bring a championship. I want to bring a championship. This is a year, man. You got to show it. I mean, you can talk all you want, but you've got to show it. Your actions speak louder than words. And that saying is never more evident than with the Phillies right now. And I guess the past year or so, with Middleton, oh, big money spender, big money spender. I mean, that was a conversation 2 years ago. And even last year as well. Big money spender, big money spender. They made some all right moves. David Robertson didn't pan out, of course, but that was the injury, so you really can't extremely blame it on the team. But, man. I mean, he's a fraud. If you want to go in a different direction, into a rebuilding path, which would be a travesty, then you are looking at almost another 4 to 5 years. And then we're talking about Bryce Harper. Who you're wasting away years of his prime. I mean, I again feel bad for him. Got roped in. He got roped in. Like a cowboy with a hog. Roped in by the big money value, by the, oh yeah, city of brotherly love. Got roped in. And you end ended up with this team that hasn't made the playoffs in how many years? 2011? 9 years? The second longest playoff drought now in Major League Baseball? Unbelievable. And you're going to waste years of his prime away. And I even feel bad for Joe Girardi. Even all the times the past few months, ever since he was hired. Oh, it's been great working with these guys. It's been great. Come on, Joe. Come on. You got suckered into with Bryce. You got suckered in with a promise that this team would spend money. This team would be in the mix at the top of the division. You got sucked in too. And now look at it. Look at it. This team rumors every day. Wheeler on the trading block. And then earlier today, saw Nolan Hoskins might be on there. And he's like, shutting him down. I wouldn't trade him for anyone. Oh, pick a decision, John. Pick a decision. Again, like I said, I as much as I would absolutely despise them trading Zach Wheeler with the year that he had, just pick a decision. If you want to start over and collaborate, starting over would be atrocious. Don't get me wrong. With how many years this team has either been in mediocrity, average, or just downright bad. But when they were downright bad again, like I said, it made sense because they had young pieces and that there was barely any talent on that team. But now you have talent on the team and you're mediocre. So, pick a decision. You want to win. Show that you want to win. Get Hill. Get Burns. Put them in positions of power to lead this team. Or if you want to go in a different direction, listen to the trade offers. Bring in young prospects. And then once you bring them in, then you kick them to the curb. If you want to wait a year. No, it would be so bad of them to do, but pick a direction. Pick a direction. I know all of us Philly fans clamoring for, please, win. We have these talented players. Wheeler, Nola, Bryce, Harper, Hoskins. We'll see what they do with Real Muto. You had Gregorius last year. You have these talented players on your roster. This is not a team that should be only winning half of their games. Or under half of their games. Pick a decision. That's my final word on the Phillies. Thank you guys for listening.